Welcome to The Holistic Entrepreneur with success coach, holistic nurse practitioner, and best-selling author, Bonnie Groessl. Bonnie shares inspirational and enlightening content to educate, empower, and facilitate well-being while nurturing the mind-body-spirit connection. This boost of positive energy will help you manage stress and make the most of your life, allowing you to thrive in the new normal. Now, please welcome the host of The Holistic Entrepreneur, Bonnie Groessl.
Well, welcome everyone. This is your host, Bonnie Groessl, here at The Holistic Entrepreneur. Now, today we're going to talk about managing the stress in your life and some ways that you can do that, but more on that in just a moment. Because first, I always want to acknowledge how grateful I am that you are sharing your valuable time with me. I so appreciate you. So if this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you've tuned in before, welcome back. I hope that you find this will be another valuable episode with tips and insights to help you toward enhanced well-being. And I also want to remind you that the information presented here is educational, inspirational, and motivational in nature, but I always want you to just take what fits for you and simply let go of the rest. This show does not intend or imply to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Now, the other thing that I always like to do when we get together every week is to remind you to take a moment for you. To just stop if you're able to. Stop whatever you're doing. Take a moment and just breathe. But breathe with intention, noticing your breath. Notice the air coming in and the air going out. And notice you. Notice what a beautiful human being you are. I always want to remind you to just stop and notice. And to appreciate what a beautiful human being you are and how much you're loved. Now, maybe this is the only moment that you take for yourself. But I can tell you this is so important to your well-being. I would encourage you to do this as often as you can. Now, the links to anything that you might need are on the show page below. You can always check me out at my website at bonniegroessl.com. Connect with me there, or the Facebook page at Coach Bonnie Groessl. I would love to hear how it's going for you, and if you have questions or comments, specific things that you want to hear about, I would love to hear from you. So make sure you check that out before you leave today. Now, today, we're talking about managing your stress. This is going to be a two-part deal because there's a lot to cover. So we'll talk about this week and then also in the next episode. But I want to share some techniques with you that have really helped me. So I want you to reflect on something. How often do you get frustrated or upset about something? And, in these situations, how many times has somebody died or something so disastrous happened that your life was in danger? I mean, few things in life have a significant negative consequence. Most things we can fix, we can choose again, or we can make amends. It's those little chronic stressors in our lives that really cause us the most harm. Most people do just fine in a true emergency, maybe even better than they thought. It's the everyday little irritations that make life difficult and causes most of our stress. And it's that chronic daily stress that affects our health and well-being in a very negative way. So as you're thinking about this, how many times does something happen and you say, so what? And are able to let it go right then and there? Personally, I don't think we say so what enough in our lives. Sometimes I hear people say, oh, well, and that's great too. But I think saying so what feels more empowering to me. I don't know. It's that letting go part that many of us have trouble with, myself included. So I find that if I say, so what, it's a bit easier to let it go. And in situations, it's good to ask ourselves, what's the worst that could happen? Will this be an issue 5 or 10 years from now? Did anybody die? Will this one little event change my life in a big way? Will I even remember this? If you're not able to let go of the so what issues, they might affect your life negatively for a very long time. It sort of feeds into the forgiveness discussion we had last week. I've known people who have missed family weddings, experienced deteriorating physical conditions, became ill, or severed relationships and suffered loss largely because they couldn't let go and move on. Feelings such as anger and frustration are just feelings, and all emotions should be honored. We should acknowledge them, but then we really just need to let them go. I always say to people, just don't live there. Take something that happened to you recently. Maybe it was something somebody said or something you didn't complete the way you wanted to, or maybe you didn't have the house cleaned when somebody stopped over. Whatever it is, ask yourself these 3 questions. These are my 3 questions that I go through each time. Question number 1, I want you to answer yes or no to each one. So question number 1, is my life in danger right now? Yes or no? Is my loved one's life in danger right now? Yes or no? Will I think this is important 5 or 10 years from now? Yes or no? So if you answered no to all of those questions, certainly at least the first 2, chances are it's a so what issue. There are a few things in life that we can't undo or fix. Sometimes people believe that, what's done is done and they can't fix it. And, sometimes I guess this is true, but in most situations, you can undo, apologize, make a different decision, change your direction. You can make a change. And you can change your reaction to whatever it is that happened. And remember, it's your choice and no one can choose for you. You alone are able to do that. So ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? Take the example of you didn't have the house clean enough. So a company is coming in, you didn't get the house cleaned completely. So what's the worst that could happen? They're going to walk into your house, look around, and leave because they didn't think you cleaned as well as you would have liked? No. People joke about having a bad hair day, and it may put a damper on their entire day. But does anybody else really notice? I doubt it. So what issues cause a lot of stress in our lives, but we don't have to allow it to happen. So how many so what issues do you struggle with every day? How many times do you say so what throughout the day? If this is something that you don't do now, it can be a really fun exercise. So maybe just for a day, notice when you're upset about something or something happens that you're not happy with or whatever, and see what happens when you turn it into a so what issue. You might be surprised how that simple little phrase can really change your life. There's also a tool that I heard at a Michael Beckwith presentation one time, and I wanted to pass this on to you. It was so profound when I first heard it that I wrote these 3 guidelines down while listening to his lecture. When something happens that you're not happy about, right? Something goes wrong. He has 3 guidelines to go through. It's kind of like my 3 questions. His 3 guidelines are, number 1, it is what it is, accept it, because it happened. Number 2, harvest the good from the situation or the event. There's always some golden nugget. There's always something good. And then number 3, which is the hardest one, is to forgive and let go of the rest. Now, it seems simple, but that 3rd guideline, letting go of the rest, is probably the hardest one. The problem is that we often get stuck and can't let go of a bad situation. We hang on to things and let them fester, whether it's about us or something somebody else did or whatever. Remember, whatever we focus on gets bigger, right? Whatever we put our attention to grows, whether it's your garden, your anger, or your fears, or whatever. Detaching from the outcome can be challenging, obviously, but I see so many people who live in the past. They're just not able to let go of some of those negative or traumatic events. Now, I'm not talking about major trauma and abuse situations. I'm not saying that that's something that's easy to let go of, and it's a so what issue. That's not a so what issue. It affects you for the rest of your life. But then you go to the forgiveness stuff that we talked about last week. It's that don't let it become your jail. Don't be a prisoner in your own prison. So I'm talking about the little things that happen that cause us a lot of stress every day. Those are the so what issues. Now, it's a choice And again, nobody can choose for you, but it's your right, your privilege. You're the only one who gets to choose how you feel about something, what you hang on to, and what you detach from. So harvest the good and let go of the rest. If you can detach from the outcome, it makes things so much better, and things will usually go the way you want them to. Now, sometimes we need a place to sort of deposit those destructive thoughts and feelings, a place that will contain them for us, because maybe we're not really quite ready to let them go completely. So you can imagine something like a box or a garbage disposal or something, some repository that you could put that stuff until you're ready to really completely let go of it. Now, this is different than stuffing your feelings. This is an imaginary repository that lets you acknowledge your feelings, and then you can choose to put it away for a while until you're completely ready to let it go. Now, if you're not in a place emotionally where you can let it go, at least put it away for a while. Another technique is to imagine using the earth as a receptacle, a huge garbage disposal of sorts, to dispose of all the negative feelings that you don't want anymore, that you don't want to carry around with you because they're weighing you down. You can go through the emotion of throwing away something, imagining it falling into the center of the earth where it can be recycled into better thoughts. Journaling is another way to get rid of negative emotions and express those intense emotions. Write down your feelings. Get them out. Write a nastygram to somebody that you're never going to send, but it'll make you feel better. Create some sort of a ceremony or ritual around letting go of content. Journaling, you can burn it then later. You can tear the pages into little pieces. You can throw them away. Dispose of them somehow. Bid them good riddance. Whatever you want to symbolize that with. And in these days, nobody knows if you're talking to yourself in the car or if you're on the phone. You can have a conversation by yourself in the car and nobody's really going to look twice. You can get your feelings out. I've done this a lot. If I'm upset about something, I'll have a whole conversation with that person or whatever the situation is to myself in the car. And you know what? I feel so much better once I get it out. Nowadays, nobody even looks at you strangely. It'll make you feel so much better. There are so many ways to get rid of those feelings or to just, put them away for a while if you can't release them completely. So your action step for this next week is to identify what little stressors you have in your life. What are those so what issues? And can you let them go? You might want to try the 3 questions. Is my life in danger now? Yes or no. Is my loved one's life in danger now? Yes or no. Will I even remember this in 5 or 10 years? To identify, is this a so what issue or not? And if it is, let it go. So until next time, I wish you health, happiness, and abundance. And we'll talk more about managing stress next time. I want to thank you for joining me at the Holistic Entrepreneur Show today. I know that time is our most precious asset, and so I appreciate you spending your time with me. Now, my purpose is to be of the best service to this community. Whether it's your personal or your work life, I'm here to support you. The best place to get the latest scoop is at bonniegroessl.com. Everything is there. We can connect, and you'll find special offers and gifts that I have for you to help you attain the health, happiness, and abundance you deserve. And I encourage you to sign up for my monthly newsletter for more useful information and exclusive offers. The links are on the show page below. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to the Holistic Entrepreneur Show on your favorite podcast directory so that you automatically receive the newest episode when it's released. Until next time, this is Bonnie Groessl, wishing you health, happiness, and abundance.